Hello and welcome to this week's news desk. We are halfway through the Wimbledon Tennis tournament. The Euros are about to start in the UK. Nancy Gillen has had a very long day at the office and she's found time to record this podcast, but pretty long day, tired and ready for dinner and an early bed by the sounds of things, Nancy. And this is before the Euros start.
I know, yeah. I'm just getting everything kind of prepared so that hopefully the month ahead goes as smoothly as possible. But it's a good tired. It's the tired where there's exciting things happen and you've got lots to do, but in a really good way. I think to have a major football tournament taking place in your doorstep at a time when you're working in women's sport is once in a lifetime, like probably once in multiple people's lifetimes. So yeah, feeling very lucky that I get to cover it. And yeah, I can't really complain really about tiredness and stuff when I get to do that for the next few weeks. So yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah, because you've got the Euros and you've got the Commonwealth Games and then the World Athletics Championships. There's a very busy summer ahead of you. So I'm hoping that you get enough sleep. Keep your blood sugar up now. I don't want you to fall off while we're recording, Nancy. You're not no danger of that. You're going to be okay, are you?
Yeah, I'll be okay. I'll give you a shout if I. No, I'll be absolutely fine.
Excellent. All right. Well, let's do this because we do have quite a bit of news. Not least of all, of course, the soccer, the football, and tennis is happening. They're major stories from around the world. But we also have a really great story out of Silverstone, the motor racing story that is. I must say, Jamie Chadwick is the one to beat, the British driver. She's just won the W Series at Silverstone on a home track, continuing the form that she's had this year. And I wanted to give a shout out to her again because she really is just we've got a lot of great drivers in that W Series, Nancy, but she's the standout, isn't she? She seems to just have the edge. Were you able to watch any of that this weekend?
Yes, I was. I did watch a little bit of it, and yeah, I mean, Silverstone's a massive thing here because of the Formula One. And I mean, we've spoken about it before, but it's why it's so great that W Series is now kind of partnered with the Formula One weekends, because yeah, you already have this massive event and then you've got the women's race happening at the same time. So yeah, Silverstone's like a big deal here. And yeah, so I managed to get, I didn't watch the race live, but I saw the highlights. And yeah, I think Sky Sports put the F1 pundit Naomi Schiff, who's a former racing driver herself. She described Chadwick as in a league of her own, and I think that describes it perfectly. Winning by nearly 20 seconds. She's won every race this season, all 4 races. She's won the past 2 W Series titles. And yeah, she's just really, really, really smashing it at the moment. It was still pretty good for Britain as a whole, because Abby Pulling, who is probably the closest title rival to Chadwick, she finished 3rd, with Finland's Emma Kimalainen coming in 2nd. So yeah, from the highlights, it was still an exciting race. There were between kind of 2nd, 3rd, 4th, there was a lot of overtaking and near misses and stuff like that. But Chadwick is just so kind of dominant that going into every race, you're kind of pretty confident who's going to be winning that. So yeah, I mean, obviously still got a long way to go this season, but I think you'd be silly not to back Chadwick to win the overall title.
Yeah, absolutely. She's 50 points clear right now. And just to clarify that, Kim Lennon was actually 2nd and Abby Pulling was 3rd. But she had a late collision, I read, Abby Pulling. So I don't know what that was about, but yeah, I agree with you. She's just in a league of her own. She really is. So congratulations, Jamie. Another fantastic win there, aiming for her 3rd straight champion. So she's our headlines this week, Nancy. We wanted to start with a really strong story because we've got all kinds of other news happening, some not such good news, which we'll get to shortly. But why don't we go to Wimbledon now, because that's in its 2nd week, or almost halfway through the 2nd week at Wimbledon, getting down to the final few there. There's been an upset, which you kind of predicted on last week's show, didn't you, about Iga Swiatek?
Yeah, I think I said that I was... obviously she is the best tennis player in the world right now, female tennis player in the world right now. There's no question. But I think she's been on a really impressive winning streak. But I did think if it was going to end, it would be at Wimbledon, just because she's not quite as strong as on grass. And yeah, that was the case. So she was beaten by Elise Cornet, the French player. So yeah, she's out of the tournament. And with Annette Kontaveit, the second seed, also out of the tournament, she went out, I think, in the first or the second round. It's kind of really opened up nicely for Ons Jabeur, the Tunisian player. She's through into the semi-final after beating the Czech player Buskova today. And then a pretty amazing story, really, in the other quarterfinal. Tatjana Maria, the German tennis player, beat her compatriot Jule Niemeyer in the quarterfinals. And Maria's got a really just amazing story. It was her first Grand Slam quarterfinal, and then obviously now her first Grand Slam semi-final. But she's 34. She's got 2 children. She has I think an 8-year-old daughter, and she this time last year was on maternity leave after having her second child. So yeah, has quite an established family, and has now come back and kind of really just smashed it at Wimbledon and got to the semi-finals. So she'll be playing Jabeur in the semis, which is obviously a very tough match, probably against it is the favourite to win the title now. So yeah, and then tomorrow we've got the remaining quarterfinals. And a really interesting matchup between Simona Halep and Amanda Anisimova. So Halep's a very established. She's maybe more towards the end of her career. She's won Wimbledon before, compared to Anisimova's quite an up and coming young talent. So I'm really intrigued to see how that one plays out. But yeah, it's been it's been a good tournament. I think there's a real, it's quite a striking lack of the real kind of heavyweights, I suppose.
Yes.
But that's quite nice, I think, to kind of see different, players come through, and like with Tatjana Maria having, learning about new players, because I didn't really know much about her, to be honest, and she actually has a really incredible story. So it's nice, to have different people in the limelight and be learning about their journeys to the top.
Yeah, it does make a change. I mean, we saw some changes from new talent at the end of last season, that they were making a name for themselves. There seemed to be quite a shuffling going on there. So it'll be very interesting to see when we get into the US Open, of course, if the Iga Swiateks of this world can come back and show that tennis, it was just that grass was not for her, or whatever it was. She said something about the strategy misfired. I don't know if you saw that.
I don't think I did. No, I think I must have missed that. But yeah, it seems like quite an interesting quote.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll follow that then. As we say, we're coming into the final days there at Wimbledon. So who's your money on now then, Nancy? Just finally, because you did predict her going out.
I think it's quite hard. Ons Jabeur, I think it's really hard to look past her getting to the final, at least, because Tatjana Maria is so far ranked, so kind of far down. But I really, really would like to see Maria get to the final and win it, because I think it'd just be a really incredible story. I've been quite impressed with Halep. I think she's silently kind of gone about her business, and has Serena Williams as old coach, has just come back from seemingly quite a stressful period. But before that period, we knew that she was a really great tennis player, and it seems like she's kind of back to that. So I think Halep could do something as well. So yeah, it's pretty wide open, I'd say, actually, at the moment.
Yeah. All right. Well, stay tuned. We'll have a roundup of that, of course, on next week's show. But one more tennis story before we move on to soccer, Nancy, and that's about Peng Shuai demonstrators at Wimbledon. They allege harassment by security staff, but they were later allowed to wear the T-shirts they were protesting. Where is Peng Shuai? I heard a little bit about that, but do you know anything more?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much kind of how you rounded it up there, but yeah. So I think it's, I'm kind of all for these guys wearing this T-shirt, because it's definitely kind of gone off the radar a bit. With it's gone pretty quiet. And I think these protesters, they wore the T-shirts. They got in, but then I think they were confronted and questioned by the Wimbledon security staff, and they had their things searched. So they were warned against approaching spectators and political messaging. But they were eventually allowed into Wimbledon, and they did walk around and stuff. So yes, they did seem to get their message across. But I think one of the points they were trying to prove is that Peng Shuai is a former Wimbledon doubles champion. I don't know if you saw, but there was a celebration at the weekend. It was 100 years of centre court, and they got quite a few of the old champions back. Granted, it was in the singles tournament, so they had people like Billie Jean King and people like that. But I think they were kind of raising this maybe hypocrisy is a bit strong, but the situation that they had been celebrating all their previous Wimbledon champions when one is still kind of her safety and security is still in doubt. So yeah, it's quite an interesting story there, and I am glad that they were able to go in and wear the T-shirts around, because I think it is just good that we have these reminders, really, that it's still not guaranteed that she's safe. No,
quite. And these were 3 men.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think 4 men. Yeah,
4 men were there. Yeah, I saw the photo.
Men, yeah.
The photo was of 3 men. So, yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah, you wonder what their backgrounds were and what their particular line of interest was in her case. I would have been curious about that. But yeah,
I think there was a link to a part of the Free Tibet campaign.
Okay, yes, that
so
makes
I think
sense,
they have some involvement in kind of geopolitical issues and stuff around China.
Yeah. Got it. Okay. All right. So we're going to move on to football now, because there's a little competition starting in your backyard tomorrow, isn't there? So you're getting quite excited about over there. But I'm going to have my 2 cents, if I can, before we start on the Euros, Nancy, with the first CONCACAF qualifier. The championships started yesterday, July 4th, as we were all celebrating the July 4th Independence Day here. The US beat Haiti by 3-0. It was a convincing win. Of course, it was the start of the CONCACAF Championship, as I said, and it happened in Monterrey, Mexico. But what was so impressive was that Alex Morgan, we talked about, she has found some form again. She really, she scored 2 superb goals, one in the 16th minute that was nicely delivered by Mal Pugh, and then Kelly O'Hara, our number 5 defender, she gave her a very easy ball in the 23rd minute into the box, and then a little bit later on in the closing stages of the game, Midge Purce sealed the win. I think it was the 84th minute, thanks to it. That was a beautiful cross from Kristie Mewis right into the box. So 3-0. But I do want to mention again, like I say, Alex Morgan, she's really found her rhythm this season, not only in the NWSL, but I guess like a true veteran, she's brought it to the national squad just in time for the qualifiers for the World Cup and the Olympic Games. But I'm sure you'll agree, Nancy, she always looks so polished, but there's a new shine on her brilliance right now. And I don't know whether that's partly to do with her fully recovered from having had a baby, and getting the body back she wants to the athletic form that she needs at this time, to go back on the national squad, because she's in tremendous form, isn't she?
Yeah, she is. And I think I said to you, I think, you think with Alex Morgan that maybe she's kind of coming to the end or losing her form slightly, and then she could just go through these periods of incredible form, which is really nice to see. And yeah, I think it's great to see she's already prolific, had such a brilliant career. And as well, I think it's similar with the Tatiana Maria story from Wimbledon. It's always incredible to see kind of people go away and have children and come back and still be so successful, because it encourages other female athletes. It shows that female athletes can do both if they want to do both. Yeah. Obviously a lot of hard work, and fair play to her for really putting that dedication in. But yeah, she's very inspirational.
Yeah. Well, we'll see again if Crystal Dunn, she had a baby a few weeks ago, so we'll see if she can get back, and if the the USWNT are interested in her for the World Cup next year. I know it's not far off, but she's another one of these veterans and such a terrific midfielder that I'm sure she would love to get back out there. But yeah, we'll see. There's a lot of great talent, and those championships, the CONCACAF Championship, that continues on the 7th. So where are we now? We're recording on the 5th. So in a couple of days' time, the US will play Jamaica, and then they play Mexico the next week. So right now we've got 3 points at the top of the standings, but it is early days yet, and we've got to beat Mexico, who can be a tough one to beat. So fingers crossed for the USWNT that they actually qualify for both the World Cup and for the Paris Olympic Games. So, Nancy, I'm going to hand it over to you now to give us a preview of the Euros, which start just tomorrow, because you've got some breaking bad news for football fans.
Yeah, it's a sad story to start with for my Euros preview. But yeah, Alexia Putellas, arguably the best player in the world in the past couple of years, the Ballon d'Or winner. She's won multiple awards for the past couple of seasons. She has torn her ACL in training today, and she won't be able to compete at the tournament because an ACL recovery takes 6 to 9 months. So yeah, this story broke earlier today. To be fair to them, the Spanish women's national football team, they were very transparent about it. Sometimes with these situations, it can be quite hard to find information, or they keep it secret, I think, especially before a big tournament. But they issued a news story saying that she'd picked up a knee sprain in training, and she was going to have tests to see the extent of the injury. And then it was confirmed about 30 minutes ago that she has indeed torn her ACL, which is absolutely gutting. I think multiple reasons. For Putellas, just as a player, that's the worst thing that can happen, like the day before a major tournament. For Spain, losing their best player is a massive blow. And then just for the tournament as a whole, you want the world's best players there. You want the big names. These big names draw people in, and the football on the pitch, the way the players, and it attracts people and keeps people interested in women's football. So to have someone like Putellas, who is such a wonderful player, not there is, a massive shame. So yeah, I just hope her all the best, and I hope her recovery is as speedy as possible. And I really think, I think if you listen back to all the podcasts from the past month or so, I think we've talked about an ACL injury in football like every week. We've had
seemingly right.
We've had Kat Mercario, we've had Ellie Carpenter as well, the Lyon player. We've had Marizan like last month or the month before. It's really big name players are picking up ACL injuries at the moment. So yeah, it's really, really sad news. And yeah, just a little bit of a shame on the eve of a big tournament. You don't really want to be talking about these devastating injuries.
No, that is really, really tough for everybody concerned. That really is. So we wish her well. And I did actually, talking about Chris Press, she was out at Angel City on the pitch with a brace on and on crutches, but there to support her team. She's had surgery, and all of these women that have ACL injuries, we wish them a speedy recovery, sound recovery, so they're back to doing what they love doing. Because it's heartbreaking when it happens before a major tournament. We hear these things happen, like injuries happen in all sports just before a major sporting event, which is heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking. But there we are. And isn't she like the number one European player or something?
Yeah, she is by far the best. She wins all the awards. I know Barcelona didn't win the Champions League the season just gone, but the season beforehand she was really kind of at the helping Barcelona win the league and the Champions League and everything. So it's a real shame that not just for the Euros, but I think for Barcelona and kind of the next season as well, that she's not going to be around.
Yeah. All right. Well, good luck to her. Now we're going to move on to a story that you picked up about Barbra Banda reportedly being forced to withdraw from Zambia's squad for the Women's Africa Cup of Nations due to high testosterone levels. So that's a story that you've run at GiveMeSport.com. Nancy, tell us about that.
Yeah, so this is... there have been reports coming out of Spain. So Mundo Deportivo, which is Spain's main sports newspaper, they reported that, as you said, Banda has been excluded from Zambia's squad for the Women's African Cup of Nations because she underwent blood tests and they found high levels of testosterone. It's a really similar situation to Caster Semenya, the South African sprinter who is currently unable to run in athletics because of their rules around athletes with high levels of testosterone. So yeah, it's all quite murky what's happening with Barbra Banda. But initially she was ruled out of Zambia's opening match against Cameroon due to medical reasons. So pretty vague, like not injury, kind of medical reasons. And then, yeah, so Mundo have since reported that it was due to these testosterone level tests, and that two other Zambian players, they've also kind of received a warning. I don't really know what that means. So yeah, it's quite hard to kind of find out what's, the how this is going to work itself out, but and kind of like the rules and regulations, like whether they're allowed to do this. I haven't really heard of this happening in football before. Obviously, Caster Semenya is the most high-profile case across sport, and you do see it happen in athletics quite a lot because they've got regulations, but I don't really know what the regulations are in football. But yeah, Banda's a real talent. She's only 22 years old. She really rose to prominence at the Olympics last year, scoring 6 goals for Zambia, and they were back-to-back hat-tricks, which is she was the first female player to ever score back-to-back hat-tricks, yeah. And she's been linked with a high-profile move to Real Madrid as well in the Spanish league. So she's a real rising star. So this is going to be a story that is going to continue to roll, I think. Hopefully there's a bit more clarity around what is actually happening. And I'm hoping, that like the African Football Confederation release a statement or something at least, because it's all pretty vague. And at the moment, she's not able to play. So yeah, I hope, there's kind of a solution to this because it seems a bit unfair at the moment.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for that, Nancy. Okay, our last story. Well, one of our last stories is about boxing. Big matchup coming later this year.
Yep. So we had last year, or earlier this year, we had Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrado, and now we've got another big heavyweight women's boxing match to look forward to. So Claressa Shields, the American boxer who is a 2-time Olympic boxing champion and is now professional, is going to be fighting Savannah Marshall, who is English. So she's from Newcastle. So they're going to be fighting at the O2 Arena in London for undisputed middleweight title. So that's going to happen September the 10th. And it's an all women's professional boxing card. So it's the first time this is going to happen and be televised and at the O2 Arena and, put on all the big channels. So there's going to be Michaela Mayer is going to be fighting Alicia Baumgartner as well. And then I think, there's a few other female boxers that they haven't announced, but yeah, off the back of the Katie Taylor fight, which happened at Madison Square Gardens, it was absolutely massive. This is kind of maybe even bigger. I suppose it depends on how the fight goes. But, Claressa Shields is a really, really big name. And Savannah Marshall is over here a big name as well. And they have this kind of quite intense rivalry. So I feel like a lot of people are going to be tuning in to see that. So, yeah, it's a lot happening in professional women's boxing at the moment. It's a very exciting time.
Yeah, that's something for you to look forward to. Will you go?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we've got one of the guys that I work with at Give Me Sport. He's got a really good relationship with the people that organise these fights. So 100% going to be trying to go to that.
Yeah, well done. All right. Well, that's not till September. We got lots happening before that. And I just want to bring you up to date with a couple of news items, Nancy, before we sign off this week. And One is Brittney Griner. We often talk about the WNBA star who's been detained in Russia now for well over 100 days. Well, she's now sent a letter to the White House directly to President Biden calling for her release. And it really is a plea from her, because I think she knows now, because she was in court on last Monday, or was it last week? It was July 1st. I'm sorry. It was Friday, wasn't it? That she went to court for the trial began. And it looks like, she's going to be convicted, because that's the way the Russian judicial system works. And she could face up to 10 years in prison. So her main hope is that the U.S. government will negotiate some kind of barter deal with Russian prisoners in the U.S. So it was a pretty desperate plea from her. She says, as I sit here in the Russian prison, alone with my thoughts and without the protection of my wife, family, friends, Olympic jersey, or any accomplishments, I'm terrified I might be here forever. It's a pretty hard story to read, because, there's been a number of people over here, a number of commentators have said that if this was a white male NBA star, this would been all over a long time ago. So, yeah. I think it's a pretty desperate situation for her, and understandably she is struggling there. But that's the update we have, Nancy, on her case. So we'll see, with the current relations between US and Russia and the Ukrainian war, it's a pretty bad time to be in that situation for any American. So we'll keep you posted as that happens, as that unfolds. And now, the one happy story we have to close on this week, Nancy, is the sailors, the offshore sailors, Sally Barkow. Sally is the U.S. Olympic coach, and her wife, Francesca Clapcich, gave birth. Sally gave birth. It was their baby. They're married. And Sally had a little baby girl, Harriet Emilia, just over a week ago. So congratulations to them. They look blissfully happy and looking forward to raising their child. But two top class sailors there. They've made the news offshore. Onshore, I should say, shouldn't I? They've made the news onshore. Congratulations to them on their new baby. And I think that's about it, Nancy, isn't it? Have you got anything else this week?
No, that's it really. I think, just I hope anyone that has access to the Euros will be watching. I know there's a few other tournaments taking place as well. But yeah, that's definitely what I'll be doing for the next 3-4 weeks. Yeah, no distracting. You've got to make sure you get enough sleep though, Nancy. Oh, yeah, I'll try my best. Can't make any promises. Right, you can always sleep afterwards, right? Exactly. I know we've had in the CONCACAF, the last night's game was at 7 p.m. Eastern, and the game on against Jamaica on Thursday is going to be 7 p.m. But then the one against Mexico is 10 p.m. Eastern. So I might be struggling for that one, and that's going to be the biggest one. So I might see if I can take a nap during the daytime. What can you do? You've got to watch the game, right? That's going to be your policy for the next few weeks. I've got to watch the game. Yeah, exactly. Like that. I mean, I'm lucky that it's my job, because probably if I worked anywhere else, I wouldn't get any work done. That's right. And you'll be watching Wimbledon, of course, as we get towards the finals this weekend. So bring us an update of that, Nancy, and your thoughts next week on the show. We'll be back the same time, same place. And so when's your first game then, Nancy, for the Euros? So tomorrow. So I'm going to England, Austria, the opener at Old Trafford in Manchester. So I'm going to that match as a fan, as opposed to a journalist. So I'll be in the crowd, not in the press box. All right. So you can make a noise tomorrow, in other words. I can celebrate tomorrow. I wanted to go to at least one as a fan. So all the other games after that, I'll be going as press. But I needed, I didn't want to miss that match at Old Trafford and not be able to celebrate when hopefully we win. Yeah, hopefully. What time's that game? So that kicks off at 8 p.m. over here. 8 p.m. Yeah, so that it'll be around this time. Well, the time of recording. Yes. For you guys.
Okay, all right. Late afternoon on the Eastern Seaboard for sure. So, all right. Well, that's it for this week then, Nancy. Just to remind everybody how they can find your writings and catch up with you on social media, because you may be making a little bit of a noise on social media for the next few weeks.
Yeah, I think I will be. So, on Twitter, I'm at Nancy_Gillen. And then my Instagram is at Nancy Gillen _sports. And then, everything I will be writing will be going on Give Me Sport Women, which is on Twitter at Give Me Sport W.
All right, perfect. And we, of course, are at Wisp Sports on social media and wispsports.com online, where you can find the show notes and the links to the stories that we cover here on the show. So that's it from me, Chris Stafford, and from Nancy Gillen. Until next week, thank you for listening and enjoy your sport.